Today we're going to be continuing with my 3 hot takes on raw materials series because some of you guys seemed to like it last time. So today I've got 3 raw materials beginning with the letter T. They are tropical Ionone, even though this has got a lot of different names. So it's also called hexalon and ketone V, things like that. I've got tomato leaf natural from Robertet, and I've also got something called Terranol. This video is sponsored by Robertet, my online store where you can find all of the essential equipment for perfumery. Only good quality and good value for money products make the cut, and I use almost all of the products myself when making perfumes for my brand. To browse the full range of products, visit www.lux-terra.co.uk or click the link in the description. So then we're going to start with the tropical Ionone. Now when I heard the term tropical Ionone, I thought it was going to be really nice because I'm a big fan of tropical smells, and Ionones as well also usually smell quite nice. They're kind of these nice violety, diffusive smells, so I thought maybe it would just be that, but with a bit more of a tropical aspect to it. And yeah, that's one of the names. I think that name was just made for like marketing purposes because I've got to say, when I go to smell this, it's not super tropical. So what is it and why did it get that name? Well, it's an Ionone and it's got an allyl group on it. And allyl compounds are often molecules that have some kind of pineapple-y smell, I at least find. For example, if you're doing the pineapple chord, if you saw my video on that, you'll notice we used allyl hexanoate. Anyway, why don't I really like this so much? So to me, this just really smells like an Ionone with, on top of it, like a kind of burnt rubber facet and like a really, let's just say, overpowering kind of repugnant or like a kind of cheesy, just an unpleasant aspect. To me, it smells like you've taken an Ionone and just made it like a bit acrid and kind of, you know, it makes you want to kind of choke on it almost. So yeah, I don't know. I think you can kind of smell the allyl nature of it a little bit because a lot of those allyl aroma chemicals do have very strong smells. But in this case, I just don't really think it works in the context of the Ionone. So I think people have tried to use this for tropical perfumes, and there are a range of things you can try to use it for, but clearly I'm no expert. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know how perfumers have successfully used this, because so far, ever since I've got it, I really haven't touched it. I just can't really see the context for it. Usually if I'm looking for an Ionone, then I seem to have kind of better options. Something like a beta Ionone, I usually find just fits better than this. Anyway, I'm sure there's use for it, but I just don't know it. And given that the smell on its own isn't that great, I wouldn't really recommend you get this particularly. It's one of those things that I was pretty disappointed by, and if you're looking at which aroma chemicals you might want to get, I would say don't be drawn in by the kind of like tropical sounding name. I just think it's one to avoid. Okay, so next then let's do the tomato leaf natural by Robertet. Now, Robertet are a really well respected manufacturer of fragrance ingredients in the south of France, and they generally work with naturals. So a lot of their naturals and blends are really, really nice, and I've got to say, I think this one they've done a great job on as well. So firstly, tomato leaf natural, what actually is it? It's not simply something that's just extracted from tomato leaves, so it may contain some of that, though of course they don't specify it because it's a proprietary blend, but what it actually is a blend of natural isolates. So that means there's various aroma chemicals that they've got, but they've got natural versions or versions which were extracted originally from plants. And then they've gone and blended them together in order to essentially make their own base. So you could think of it like any other base that you could buy from a different manufacturer. It's just kind of a natural base because it's made from natural things, or at least things which were extracted from naturals. So they've been extracted separately, blended together in order to make this kind of perfume composition by their perfumers, which they claim smells like tomato leaves. Now, tomato leaves are one of my favorite smells ever, so I was really excited to go and get this. And when I smell it, what does it smell like? So when I smell it, I really don't think that it is kind of hitting the nail on the head there. To me, what it mostly smells of is kind of cis-3-hexanol, which is that grassy green smell. Though luckily I really like that as well, so it's not too big of a deal. And when you smell into it, you definitely can smell these kind of like sulfurous elements, and I definitely think it is definitely reminiscent of tomato leaves. It's just that if you smelled it blindly, I don't think you would necessarily jump immediately to the tomato leaf smell, but as soon as you say tomato leaves and then smell it, you can see it straight away. So I think it's a pretty good job, and another reason for that is because there aren't many tomato leaf smelling things out there. I've smelled a couple of them, and this is the best one I've smelled so far. So because of that, I think it must be quite a difficult technical challenge to actually get that tomato leaf smell in perfumery. And for that reason, I think, yeah, they've done a pretty good job. Hopefully in the future, we'll have something that's even more accurate. But for now, I think if you wanted a tomato leaf note in your perfume, then this is definitely a really good place to start. Anyway, tomato leaf natural, do I recommend it? If you like the smell of tomato leaves, then yeah, I would definitely recommend it. If you don't really care, you're not fussed, then I think there's no real reason to buy this unless there's a specific project you're working on where you want to include that smell. Finally then, we've got the Terranol, and this is an aroma chemical manufactured by Symrise, one of the big fragrance and flavor companies. So to me, this is immediately very reminiscent of geosmin, so it's an extremely earthy smell. However, the difference is, to me, this isn't quite as, let's say, moldy as geosmin, because let's face it, a lot of the smell from certain types of mold is literally the smell of geosmin. So whereas geosmin is a very kind of natural smell that's kind of like soil, pure kind of earth and mold, that kind of thing, to me, the Terranol is about as earthy as you can kind of get, or it's that same kind of region of olfactory space, but this time it's a lot more dressed up, and it doesn't smell quite so much of mold. It just has a really strong earthy element, and to me it also kind of borrows nuances and facets from patchouli, and it borrows kind of ambery, even kind of sweet, slightly kind of herbaceous, aromatic, a little bit spicy nuances. And when you actually smell it, it's like, well, if you wanted a really strongly earthy note in your perfume, but you actually wanted to be able to sell it as a perfume and hopefully have people enjoy it as a perfume without thinking, well, you know, without having a perfume that's just really edgy and just for people who kind of want that pure smell of dirt, then I think this is your kind of like more elegant dressed up version of geosmin, which can fit just a bit more easily into a perfume. So yeah, this one, I like it. It also reminds me a little bit of cashmeran because of those earthy elements, so you could probably make a kind of musky base with some cashmeran, some other musks, and then slide some of this Terranol just to push your accord a little bit further in that earthy direction. I imagine that's where you would use it. I think probably you would normally use it in low amounts, but I can imagine a perfume where to creative effect, you might actually want to go for a large amount of this. But that would really be for someone who just likes a really earthy smell. Anyway, Terranol, would I recommend it? Yes, I think it's pretty nice as just a really earthy note. Unless you don't like earthy stuff, then yeah, probably not worth having. But if you like earthy notes, then I really think this one is really great. It can be a little bit difficult to get hold of. I haven't seen that many stores online selling it. But that said, if you can get some, I do recommend trying to get it. Finally then, just like last time, let's do these smelling things together. So firstly, I've got the tomato and the tropical Ionone. Now to me, it just smells like the tropical Ionone, but nicer. Actually, to be fair, they don't go terribly together. But you've still got this like strong kind of repugnant smell coming through from the tropical Ionone thing. But then you've got these kind of green notes on top. And I think these sulfurous elements in the tomato natural actually kind of blend in with the kind of acrid rubber notes of the tropical Ionone. Yeah, that said, I don't think this is the kind of accord you would put in a normal perfume by any means. So how about the Ionone with the Terranol? And all of these things are diluted down to 10% in alcohol, by the way. This one actually is better than I expected. And the earthy elements seem to kind of weave together quite well with the, let's say, kind of soft powdery Ionone elements, and they kind of weave together into this kind of soft fabric veil, kind of cashmere-like smell, which is quite nice. I guess it's almost like the earthiness from the Terranol with the silky, kind of smooth powderiness of the Ionone side of things. They kind of come together to make like almost like a silk throw or like a woolen blanket kind of smell, just a little bit. And I almost think that the kind of strong earthy notes kind of distract you from the like repugnant side of the tropical Ionone. So yeah, maybe this is an okay combination. Though again, it's not like, this is not something I'd be rushing to make. It's not like amazing. It's just kind of better than I expected when I expected it to be pretty terrible. Then finally the tomato and the Terranol. This one's pretty good actually. This reminds me of like a greenhouse smell, and I think that's because you've got like, imagine a greenhouse where you've got the tomato vines climbing up, and then you've got all of the kind of compost or soil where you go and plant your plants with lying around, and together it does remind you just a little bit of that kind of like late spring, going into the greenhouse, you're planting your things and they're starting to grow. So yeah, that's actually pretty good. If you wanted to go for like a greenhouse smell, then Terranol and tomato natural, it's not too bad. So that's it, 3 aroma chemicals beginning with T, and I'll probably use some more of these, so I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed the video, and yep, have a good week.